Hey everybody, I'm Adam.
And I'm Phoebe.
And we are the couple from In the Great Wide. We are here today to talk to you about the Captain Morgan Distillery tour on the island of St. Croix.
Which we did during our Caribbean cruise in December 2021. We got to spend about 10 hours in St. Croix, and we were with a group of 10 of our friends, so there was 12 of us all together, and we thought it would be a lot of fun to do a distillery tour and tasting with Captain Morgan while we were in port there. And the island is pretty small. The Captain Morgan Distillery is about a 20-minute drive in a taxi away from the cruise port in Frederiksted. So it's not too far away, but you should definitely call ahead to make a reservation with Captain Morgan before you go, because there are certain times that they have set aside for just cruise excursions or certain groups or whatever. So just make sure that you call ahead.
It costs $15 per person. You pay when you get there.
And they take credit cards
They do
too,
take
which
credit
is
cards,
nice.
yes.
There's a lot of places on the islands that were cash only, so it's kind of nice to not have to carry as much cash.
We were told while we were setting it up that because we had the 12 of us going, that it was going to be a private tour. And it was not.
That was not the case. I had called ahead and made a reservation for the 12 of us weeks ahead of time. And then the week before our cruise, I called them again to confirm our reservation. And everything went smoothly until we got there. And we checked in and we all got paid. And then we were all kind of hanging around. And then all these other random people started showing up.
It was like they had no idea what we were talking about. When we said, You told us less than a week ago that there was going to be a private tour for the 12 of us, and none of them, there were 3 people working, and none of them had any idea what we were talking about. Well, we don't do that. We don't do that.
Yeah.
It's like, well, then I assumed you talked to a ghost or something? I don't
know what happened, what miscommunication there was there, but it just wasn't what we expected. And the staff was not very welcoming. You know, they weren't super concerned about it. They just seemed a little condescending. Yeah. So really wasn't the best start to the whole experience. Although they did check our temperatures when we came in, so that was nice.
Now, supposedly, you stepped in front of a thing and it beeped at you, but they never actually checked to see if people actually waited long enough to get checked, because there's at least a couple people that didn't.
Oh.
So.
Not in our group.
No, our group all did it, but there were definitely people that came in
that
after us that stuck their face in and then walked off, and it was like, well, it couldn't read it because it wasn't long enough. But again, staff didn't really seem to care, so... Okay.
Yeah. But they do have some, like, their whole lobby area is set up with, a lot of cute, like, photo opportunities and stuff that you can read about the history of the Captain Morgan brand and where it came from and who Captain Morgan was. So that was nice that they had plenty of stuff for you to, like, do while you were waiting for your tour to start.
Yeah, there was essentially a couple of rooms, and they had information, and then when the tour started, they kind of just stuck us in those rooms, and then talked about how you make rum, using props and various things. But
they talked about the ingredients that go into the rum,
how it's made,
and that was the tour.
Yeah, it was a little confusing because we had hung out in that area for quite a while because we were told to be there at a specific time for our private tour.
I got us there 10 minutes early.
Yeah, and then they were like, yeah, well, actually, the actual tour is in 40 minutes, so just hang out for that. And so we were there for a pretty long time.
Much longer than we had anticipated.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was pretty disappointing for a tour.
Yeah.
It was a presentation. It was not a tour.
You're not.
So don't expect to tour the distillery.
You're not going to go to where they actually make the rum. You're not going to go see their giant vats and their distillation process. You're not going to see any of that.
Yeah.
You can look at it out the window, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say, then the tasting.
Yeah.
Actually, you get 5 tasters of rum, so that was nice.
Yes.
It was a decent amount of rum.
There was definitely Captain Morgan rum that I had never had before,
Mm-hmm.
and I was very surprised, and it was very good. So that was very positive. It was good. She was actually really. When we got into the tasting part, the tour guide opened up a bit more, and she seemed a lot more friendly. Definitely than before when we were dealing with them, but yeah. So they had 5 rums. You got the 3 were the original Captain Morgan rum, a white rum which is just not spiced, and then a private stock, which is a much more expensive, but they allow you to do that. And then
they offer you, I think there was an option of like 6 to 8
I think it was
rums.
6. Yeah.
That they had, and they gave us a description of each one, and you get to choose 2 more to taste. That's included, so that's really nice. And then they also offer cocktails that you can purchase in addition to those.
And the cocktails were not, they were like $5. They were not expensive. So, I mean, it was,
they were cheap, and so that was really nice. However, when we were finishing up the tasting and people were kind of leaving, I had gone to the restroom, and there were still other people from our group hanging around our table, but they came over and took my drink before I was done with it.
It was more than half full, and she took it.
Yeah, so that was also really disappointing and really annoying, but by that point, I was just so over it. I was so... I was really upset because I had gone through so much planning for us and all of our friends for this cruise, that it was just like, I was like, you know what, whatever. So, and
it was the first time for our group to be all together. It was the first thing we did as a cruise. We had stopped in St. Thomas the day before, but we all did our own thing, and then St. Croix was the first time we were all together, and man, it was one of those like,
it was definitely a tourist trap, and not one that was not worth the time for sure. Because we've done tastings, like when we went to Scotland, we did a Scotch tasting there that was very touristy, but amazing, you know.
Yeah, we rode in a giant barrel. And it sounds kitschy and bad, but it was amazing. And then the tasting at the end was incredible. Yeah. Because they explained everything, and they the different regions in Scotland and all that.
Yeah. But they did at Captain Morgan for the tasting. They gave us like a card that had descriptions with the flavor profiles of the different rums we were trying, and they walked us through those things. The tour guide did, you know. So they do offer you some knowledge there to help guide you through the tasting, so that was great. But honestly, with the presentation before that, the tour, I just tuned it out. It was so disappointing.
It was definitely not worth the time, and it's disappointing because Captain Morgan's fantastic and it's a great rum. But I the only way I would say to go do it is if you stayed on St. Croix for multiple days. Yeah. Because then you can go pop in, do it, and then leave. Yeah. I mean, it was only $15, so it's not, you know, you do get 5 tastings out of it. Yeah. So in that regard, it's not bad. But still, if you're only on the island for 8 to 10 hours, just don't.
Yeah, don't waste your time. Go to the beach. Go to the beach instead, or, you know, like you can go horseback riding. There's ATVs there. There are so many other options for activities that you can do in St. Croix that if you're there for less than a day, don't bother with Captain Morgan, honestly.
Luckily for us, the rest of our day in St. Croix was amazing and super fun. Yes. It just had a bad start with Captain Morgan, but it was good. We had a great driver. The taxi driver was incredible. Stayed with us the entire day. He was phenomenal. But definitely kind of a sour start to the day. But it turned out good, so it's fine. And we will cover that in the future. Pay attention to our social medias, because we'll
tell
cover
you how
that.
To actually spend your day in St. Croix.
That beach and randomly stopping for rum. It was it was fun. Yeah. So anyway, stay tuned. Go to our website at inthegreatwide.com and sign up for our newsletter, and we will see you next time.
Thanks for joining us.